Okay, hi everybody, and good morning here. This time, actually, from north of the Arctic Circle in our little bear meditation center. Somehow, we managed to get 7 little wooden bears out in front. Tuya contacted a man who carves them. They're just little bears. I think it would be pretentious to call it the Big Bear Meditation Center. Anyway, they are on guard. I haven't identified which one is sort of Polaris yet, but everything is in good shape. And we're here in the cold north where it's been storming for 2 days. And now all seems quiet for just a little while. So we want to welcome you to our continuing Science of Triangles work. I know I do these things in the morning, and that is leaving out South America and a considerable part of the United States, especially the East Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning, and the Central Time Zone, 12 o'clock at night, and it gets late. But okay, um, one day that will be corrected. So let's just have a little meditation, and we'll get into some very interesting material from the old commentary. Not that it's easy to interpret, but maybe we have to learn how to think in uh, symbolic language. But first, I just want to, before this little meditation, I want to welcome you, Anne-Marie, Annette, uh, Catherine, Jean-Pierre, Karen, Catherine, Leslie, Marianne, Marissa, Martha, Natni, Nienke, Renee, Risto, Stephen, Winnie, and Zenaidi, and Veronica. Welcome, and I'm grateful to Michael, Stacy here for backing me up on the technical side, and Tuya's here with us too. As soon as I get her on the correct side of the divider on both sides. Okay, let's just have a moment of alignment before we get it. It's quite a map in front of you, isn't it? Think about it. It's and this is just a small part of the picture of the spiritual hierarchy of our planet, and then the each one of those little circles above the big blue circle has a similar large circle connected with it, and who knows, its structure. We certainly don't, but the hierarchy is not found only on the Earth, and every planet has its initiates and its masters and its humanity, for that matter. And one day we will become acquainted with those structures. But for right now, we are the little blue print on the bottom of that big circle, and slowly working our way back along the emanative stream. So let us just have a moment of quiet as we align with that triangle we call the soul. As it were, hovering above the square, which is our personality nature. And of course, it's the group soul and the group personality we're largely interested in. And that triangle we call the Spiritual Triad. bringing us, such as we are, into the world of superhuman evolution. At least some small reception from that world when we begin to build the Antikarana. And then that triangle we call the monad or spirit. And in the center of that triangle, and really in the center of all triangles, is the factor of pure being, which is irreducible. There's nothing lying behind that factor. That is the self becoming one. And on it goes as we become ever more receptive to the ever-ascending series of triangles which are linking up our cosmos and on our planet are trying to take over the etheric demonstration. So we're not hampered by that pattern of squares, which I'm sure is largely the case still here in the etheric body of the Earth. But we are esoterically bisecting the square as forming two triangles. As Master DK told us, he was instructed by his teacher long ago. I have a feeling it was Pythagoras, the esoteric bisecting of the square. Anyway, our work today, more academic perhaps, with a little meditation at the end, and then every Wednesday, we are leading the Ask meditations, and Tuya will be back on this coming Wednesday with the Science of Triangles meditation, and we will be on the morning schedule. We just love that. Late nights, early mornings. Okay. So 1 Om to confirm that vision of our spatial surroundings as consisting of many triangles, which we have to learn to understand and invoke. Okay. Just trying to do this correctly. Okay. All right. Now, here we are. This is the beginning of the academic reading part, Science of Triangles, number 20. We're on page 430 of the book, Esoteric Astrology, and that is a deep book. DK considered it his most occult book because it dealt entirely with a matter of energy. Now, when we're finished with that book, and who knows, I mean, you're not going to be finished with that book, but okay. When we've made our pass here, we will go on to quite a number of compilations on the triangles. We're grateful to Starling David Hunter. He's been working in that field for a long time. And in terms of gathering material, and he has shared a number of compilations, and many of you have been working a long time in the triangles work. Launa Hafine, she's another one. DK says this is a work which must go on. Now, we've been talking about light a little bit, and we're talking about three great cosmic eyes. The eye of the Father, carrying light from the Great Bear. It's a synthesizing eye. The eye of the Sun, carrying light from Sirius. And this is corresponding with Buddhi, and the eye of the Father, I think, with, oh gosh, I would say, oh, that's not the right one, with Atma. With Atma. I'm going to, sometimes I have to get my colors straight, otherwise it just doesn't appear correctly. And hopefully I can do that. Just a second, if you bear with me. Yeah, so that's the atmic part. And this is the manasic part, which is the mother, and is related to the Pleiades, but of course the Pleiades are the strongest in all of these three. The Great Bear, Sirius, Little Bear, they are just centers in that great being that we call the one about whom naught may be said. And I think my latest thought on that is that the Pleiades are the head center of that great being. All right. So we're talking about light energy, and we're talking about seeing. And when there is the sign Taurus dominant, we do have the moon in Taurus today anyway, in a planet or a planetary being or an individual, then we're going to have the energy of light being the main factor and its cultivation. And it turns out that this is so for our entire planet. Now, I guess we realize from our studies that our planet represents the base of the spine center of our solar system, of our solar logos. And when it gets activated, the whole system is filled, enlightened in a way that it was not before. So DK is saying here, in some unusual manner from the human angle, just imagine how many angles he can see from, all that concerns the development of mankind down the ages, expressed by him in terms, has been down the ages expressed by him in terms of illumination and knowledge. Maybe it's because we human beings are so connected with the third aspect of divinity, and our planet is Mercury, which is a majorly fifth ray, third ray monad, as far as I can understand, and therefore is related to knowledge and illumination. So it's been expressed in terms of knowledge, in terms of sight, and Mercury restores sight to the blind, we are told, and that's the initiation process, initiation, the granting of light to the blind unit, and of the entrance of light, thus leading to revelation. That's the name of mastership. When you're a master, you go through the initiation of revelation, very interesting, and incidentally to the true theme of astrological interpretation, which is, I think, bringing the relationships in cosmos and even, well, our normal relationships to light so that their significance is deeply understood. So the releasing of light and understanding upon relationship is one of the key things that has to happen on this planet. And on our planet, we are eventually called, when we are graduates, we are called adjudicators, judges, adjudicators between the pairs of opposites. And so we have to really, on this planet, learn the relationship between spirit and matter and between soul and personality. And one day, our planet is to become a great station of light. Now, it's very necessary that that happen. Otherwise, strangely enough, the solar logos cannot evolve. The solar logos depends upon its base of the spine center, and this will be increasingly so. So we need to become a real lighted house on this planet so we can fulfill our function in the solar system from the third, fourth, and fifth initiations, and maybe in the next solar system even beyond that. Because there is a big question, whether our particular solar system will evolve beyond the fourth initiation in this solar system. It will achieve the fourth initiation, or whether it will also achieve the fifth, in which case the Earth will become a great station of light. And in order for that to happen, the triangles must function, because they conduct from the world of light that type of energy which illumines. And so we know this in our own little microcosmic lives, and we have to become illumined beings. Now, even at the second initiation, we have a little bit of that. We have mental illumination, think of that, and spiritual intelligence, what's required at that initiation. So from this peculiar angle, therefore, we can approach the great triangles, which we have been studying. It all begins with the Great Bear, and then Sirius and or the Little Bear. Sirius is oftentimes a blind for the Little Bear, and they both have a lot to do with the Agnes center. So we can, and then of course the Pleiades, having to do more with intelligence and with humanity per se. These are big things, but we have to have the sense that this is not some humanly concocted activity when we are working with the triangles. The whole system, the etheric system of sacred planets, is organized on the basis of triangles, and we are trying to become sacred human beings, which we are not yet. Maybe when we take the fifth initiation we will be. And our planet is attempting to become a sacred planet, and the number 5 is involved there as well, and it's all about light. The fifth ray Lord on our planet is a being of the intensest light. It is more evolved than the other ray lords in terms of light, and that's what we are trying to work with here to increase our light content. So we can approach the great triangles which we have been studying, and he says with which we are today concerned, also through their significance in terms of light. So, as I say, it's a very Mercurian task, and the Tibetan is a very Mercurian teacher. He is, if I had to say to myself, well, where did he come from, along his emanative stream, I would say he came from Mercury, one of the sacred planets, just the way I suspect that Master K.H. came from Venus, and the Buddha from Mercury, and the Christ from Venus. This strikes me as reasonable. This significance and approach can be summed up in the following stanzas from the old commentary, which, if studied carefully, and hopefully we can do that in a symbolic manner, will throw much light upon the theme of this particular subject. I just think, without light there is no revelation, and we don't find out what's really going on in the self-becomingness that we call creation. So let's see what we can make out of this. As I say, it's not really easy, but maybe, and make note of this and see what you think, and but what your interpretations might be. Okay, the sevenfold light of the Father, brought from chaos, the earlier nebular stage of any great being, brought from chaos into the ordered day, his purpose and his plan. Okay, God the Father in our system of the one about whom naught may be said, the sevenfold light, and we all know that when we're dealing with our study of the seven rays, almost the very first thing we go to is the Great Bear. There's a lot of transformations that happen on the way down from these great rishis, these great teachers, but somehow for us, the seven rays are 7 rays of light, and they're coming from the Great Bear. Of course, they're coming from far beyond that too. But for our purposes, the Great Bear. The 7 supreme gods, I suppose that's the rishis, bent to this purpose, they work, everybody works in cosmos, and with united will ordained the plan. Now, this is a super cosmic plan, not just a cosmic plan, and I'll explain what I mean. The one about whom naught may be said is not just a cosmic logos, although you might call that being by such a name. See, if we are going over here, this is one of Tuya's charts. The realm, each one of within each one of these little triangles, interesting triangles, right, is a cosmic logos. The Great Bear is a cosmic logos. The 7 Pleiades are kind of like a cosmic logos within a super cosmic logos. And all of the Orion and the constellation in which our sun is a heart center, they're just cosmic logoi, but somehow they are contained, in my view at least, within a super cosmic logos that we call the one about whom naught may be said. As I say, very high beings, and at what maybe by the time we reach the 9th initiation, and who's to say when that will be, we get a little glimmer of what it might be like to come into relationship with that great, great being. So there's a plan here. Now, a plan for our planet, a plan for the solar system, a plan for the local cosmic logos in whom we're a heart center. But the Great Bear, okay, that's a chakra in this greater being yet. Okay, let's see. Am I audible? I hope so. Okay, we just have to make sure we're trying to keep it.
Yes,
Okay.
you're audible.
Oh, okay. My wife's on the other side of the cabin here, and she's trying to. Yeah. Okay. Right. We have it now. Okay. So anyway, the 7 supreme gods, for us supreme, for others just little gods, bent to this purpose, to bring forth this great plan, and it's a super cosmic plan in the way that I've been describing it. Okay, and bent to this purpose, and with united will ordained the plan. Now, in the old language, the bear and the lion met together and laid their plans in conformity with the plan and with the purpose of their controlling lord. Now we have to explain, who is that? The controlling lord of the bear and of the lion is the one about whom naught may be said. So, there's a zodiac in here, and there's a bear in here, and this little green triangle here is our great supercosmic God. Now, let's turn to this which Joe has provided us with, and it says the bear and the lion met. Well, we're on the will and purpose side, aren't we? So these 2 great beings, the great bear and Leo, the lion, laid their plans for the further descent of first ray energy along this particular line. There are other ways that first ray, second ray, or third ray energy can descend, but in this particular great triangle, this is considered our, major triangle. It descends in this way. So the Lord of the Great Bear, that we call the cosmic Manu, that's a term that Stephen Pugh evolved, and he's a very good rayologist and astrologer. And then Leo, the Lord of the constellation Leo, got together and laid their plans for the further descent of the energy. Okay, now the bear and the lion met together and laid their plans in conformity with the plan. It really should almost be like this plan, and with the purpose of their controlling Lord, the one about whom naught may be said. They called upon Father Time. Now, Alice Bailey is helping us out here. She's putting in a few little parentheses in case we don't know what's going on. They called upon Father Time for aid and strength, and he responded to their triple call. Okay, so there's always, So there's always the call. Oh, goodness, triple call. I'm always having a little trouble here. There is always a call involving the three aspects of divinity. The three AODS. Oh, that's not going to be so. Aspects of divinity. Now, some of you will remember this even applies to the human being. For instance, if we went to the book and let's just say let's see, trying to make this quick. I should have had this ready. Okay, but let's just say that we go to Reza and the Initiations, and we get in there around page, I don't know, let's just say, 18. It's a little bit early, 20 something. Here it is. Triple the call must be. There it is, right on the human level. Triple the call must be. Let the disciple now notice where the call goes to. And we all have to fulfill this in our own microcosmic life. Let the disciple sound the call across the desert, that's the physical plane life, over all the seas, that's the astral plane life, and through the fires, mental plane, which separate him from the veiled and hidden door, i.e., of initiation, and the door into the causal body where initiations are taken. So even for little microcosmic man, the call is triple. And now this great being is sounding a triple call. Obviously, this is the kind of stuff that the masters themselves are learning about. So we just have the slightest little hint about what it might be. So they called upon Father Time. That's Saturn. And Saturn is a very benevolent influence. Saturn created the bridge, we're told, that allowed the passage from the problematic previous solar system into this solar system for so many lives, including, a number of disciples today who are disciples who crossed on that Saturnian bridge. So here, Father Time, notice the father aspect is operating here. We have the Great Bear as father, maybe Leo, considered as the pater familias. There's Leo people, they love their generations, their creations, and then Father Time. They called upon him for aid and strength, and he responded to their triple call. To this call, likewise, the eternal youth responded, Sanat Kumara, Lord of Shamballa. I guess I'm writing that in myself, or someone is. It looks like the kind of thing I would write. But maybe Alice Bailey wrote it, I'm not sure. Anyway, look at the word Sanat. And when you look at some of the names of the Raylors, the names of the Kumaras, which Blavatsky gave to us, they're all sort of variations, most of them on the word Saturn. And even Sanat has that Saturnian feel to it, the letters that are there. And, I won't go into, well, maybe I will. Oh, should I? Let's see. Maybe, Tuya, can you find the names of those Buddhas of activity? And I'll show everybody. Well, maybe I can. Okay. Well, maybe I can do it. Well, how does it go? Sanat. and a Sanatana. Okay, very interesting. All variations on Saturn. And when we think about the Lord of the world, he really has that Saturn connection. And I'm just going to look up the word Sananda and see if I find anything. No items match. Okay, so names of Buddhas, names. Oh, that was it. Names of the. Oh man, it's very interesting, and I just I think names of 7 names. Oh, you see, I get myself in a trap here. The names of the 7 Ray Lords. Well, I'll just have to. Okay, that's the 7th Ray Lord, and so here it is. Quick, get it before it disappears, and maybe I can find that. There it is. Okay, take a look. Sanaka, Sananda, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara are the chief Vaidhatra. And then we get into the esoteric Ray Lords, Sana, and only Kapila varies, and Sanat Sujata. So I said, wow, this is interesting information. Maybe some of you would like that, and I'll just throw that into the chat box. I know it's not a subject for everyday conversation, but there are your Ray Lords, okay? So there it is. All right. And notice the variation on the word Saturn. That's all I'm really trying to say, and I took too long saying it. Okay. Now, he set himself anew to learn the plan, aided by Father Time, yet unaffected by the Lord of Time, for he himself was timeless, though not the lives which he enfolded in his thought and plan. So to this call, likewise, the eternal youth responded, and he, as an emanation of the planetary logos, because that's pretty much what Sanat Kumara is. Sometimes he's called the planetary logos, and other times the soul of the planetary logos, and other times the soul-infused personality of the planetary logos, but basically he is the planetary logos in emanation, and he was aided by Father Time, yet unaffected by the Lord of Time, because his unitive view is so undivided that time, which is a measurement of the duration of states of consciousness against each other, how long does the thing last in your perception? When does the thing appear and when does it disappear? This is how we measure time. He had overcome that aspect of time. Although all of us who are enfolded in his thought and plan, we are limited because of our divisive perception by time. Okay, so let me put that down if it wasn't clear. Get rid of that. Sorry. Okay. I keep on forgetting what is in my, what's in that save thing. So, man's small divisive perception makes him subject to the illusion of time. Now, really, all there is eternal duration forever. There's only one beingness, or beingness, however we want to name it, because our names don't really do much. It's completely indivisible and unchanging in essence forever, and there is no time, and there is no movement in it. There is only the ongoing beingness of what it is, than which there is no other. No time and all of that. So at least time is overcome on various levels. Okay, now we can say that on the mental plane we overcome time, but that's only one aspect of time. We can say that Sanat Kumara has overcome time, and yet if we go far enough in the universal consideration, we have the great breath, which is an illusory alternation between appearance, non-appearance, appearance, non-appearance, the very archetype of time. So there are different levels of overcoming time, and Sanat Kumara, I can only speculate, right, has overcome one, because of which we can say he is, relative to man, timeless. We, however, because we see everything in little chunks, parts and pieces, and the mind divides everything up, we are very subject to Father Time. And the disciple really knows this, because Saturn is the disciple's planet. Now, if we conform to our Saturn and do it right, we're going to make a lot of progress in discipleship. So what have we got so far? We have the super system of the one about whom none may be said. And within it, we have the cosmic Manu, who is the great bear. We have the Lord of the constellation Leo, who's in that head center, heart in the head center of the one about whom naught may be said. And we have Father Time, Saturn. So I think you can see that right here. It's a very powerful triangle. Now, normally, you would say, okay, look, Saturn, if you know your astrology, you say, hey, Saturn is more at home in Aquarius and is in detriment in Leo because, from the average point of view, the Leo person wants to be able to express himself fully and without interruption and without laws and things that get in the way and say you can't do this, you can't do that. So Saturn is in detriment in the sign Leo, but not from the higher perspective. So it's a very great triangle, the great bear, Leo, Saturn, and what's following is Sanat Kumara in Shamballa, and then we'll get right down into our human system. All right, going on just a little more. Here we are. Yeah. Then the triple light, which came from the bear in his high place, meaning, there's a very peculiar thing about the great bear, and I'll show you what I mean. In this map, it looks like the great bear is focused on the cosmic Buddhic plane, and maybe to a certain extent it's true. But it's really the Pleiades that are focused there, and the great bear is focused on the cosmic atmic plane, because he is will in a supercosmic sense. Now, if we go to a treatise on cosmic fire, and I hope I get the page right, okay? 1162, I hope so. Okay, so, here we go. The energy of the centers of a solar logos are themselves in the form of vast lotuses or wheels. Now that's us. Our planets are vast lotuses or wheels, at the center of which lies hidden that central cosmic life. Notice, it's a cosmic life, which we call a planetary logos. It's not just a systemic life. We're talking about something greater, because its true home is on the cosmic planes. So let's say our planetary logos, okay? He is the meeting place for two types of force, spiritual or logoic, which reaches him, maybe it should be reach, via the logoic lotus on the cosmic mental planes. Well, maybe his own lotus. And here, look at this. From the 7 rishis of the Great Bear on their own plane, and he doesn't mention it, and secondly, of Buddhic force, which is transmitted via the 7 sisters or Pleiades from a constellation, thank you too, from a constellation called the Dragon. Draco. So I think you see the implication that the true plane of the Great Bear is not the Buddhic plane. The true plane of the Great Bear is Atmic, because it is will. And the Seven Sisters, they have a strong second ray component, and their line of expression is found on the cosmic Buddhic plane. All right, so this is just to say that when you look at this map, there's a whole presence. When you talk about the Great Bear and his high place, my understanding of this, at my present level of ignorance, is the cosmic atmic plane. And then you have to read very carefully. Everywhere DK is saying something new and give you another angle on things, and you have to put all this information together in a way which will give you a rounded out point of view. Then the triple light which came from the bear in his high place, from Leo in his lesser place. Interesting. It's hard to understand that. Actually, what I didn't say is that although the heart and the head center of this great being, which for us is like the limit, we can't get beyond that, the one about whom naught may be said, that heart and the head center is our zodiac. And even our own little microcosmic heart in the head center is like a zodiac right here on the top of the head. So Leo is a part of that zodiac in the great one about whom naught may be said. So the triple light came from the Great Bear in his high place, from Leo in his lesser place, and from Saturn in his little place. Boy, this is when you look at the great planet Saturn, which controls the plan and discipleship and the entire cosmic physical plane, and Saturn is said to have a little place, we're dealing with big things. They poured into the planetary place of power. Shamballa was informed. Namely, in other words, these three energies of the great bear, Leo, remember the king, and Saturn were instrumental in forming Shamballa. The Lord of life and of the world took action. Now that's our Sanat Kumara, It all gets very interesting up on this level. And you might say, well, it's so far beyond us, why even bother? But we have to have an accurate vision first. And before we can have any practical experience, the vision has to be accurate. Now, if you're going to a totally foreign country and you don't have a map, you're going to get lost. So this is our map. We're studying the map. When we study a treatise on cosmic fire and all these triangular relationships, we're studying a map. And, we're learning about how to orient ourselves to the higher worlds when, through the process of initiation, that time comes. Okay. Otherwise, people, as they say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. He said, study your white magic book now. I cannot give you all of the magical formulas, but when I can, your careful study of the book now will make your life much easier and your mind clearer when I can hand over the practical details. Okay, now, the little one within the greater whole, and Alice Bailey helps us here, the individual human disciple, AAB, likewise responds to the triple light. The triple light, basically the first three aspects of divinity. And, you say, well, what's Leo? How is Leo connected with the second aspect of divinity? And I'll give you my impression. Saturn is the third ray monad. We don't know about the monadic ray of the Great Bear, but it's very much first ray in its expression. And of all the three fire signs, Leo is the most second ray of the fire signs. Aries first ray, Leo second ray, and Sagittarius third ray. So Leo does belong there in that sequence of the Great Bear, Leo, Saturn. It belongs in the second place. Okay, the Lord of Life took action. The little one, that's us, likewise responded to the triple light, but not until the cycles passed and passed again. Obviously, unconscious response is always possible, and people don't know. They're driven up and down the land, in the words of esoteric astrology. They don't know what's driving them. They don't know where they're going to go. They are just driven. Later, they can manage to use the energies intelligently and choose their direction. Saturn, the planet of choice. So cycles passed. Late in the day of time. Isn't that a beautiful phrase? I mean, because, in the night of time, there is no time. But anyway, late in the day of time, Shamballa sent a call, relayed from voice to voice and rolling forward on the Om. Well, OM might be a symbolic word, maybe, but we use it as a substitute, perhaps, for some not given word. And we sometimes question ourselves, is OM, O-M, a second-ray word, or is it a first-ray word? Maybe is the first-ray word, and O is an adaptation, a second-ray adaptation of the first-ray word, and OM is the word of the soul. Now, usually when he's talking about the sound, it's the O, okay? And then when we add the M, we have the manifestation power. But, he changes his perspective, and the Om, as it is sounded forth by him who stands and waits at the very center of the council chamber of the Lord, the Om is considered sometimes a shambolic word. Okay, late in the day of time, after all this has taken place, and who knows what cosmic time is all about, Madame Blavatsky tried to give that to us in a treatise. Well, the footnote is footnote 6 in a treatise on cosmic fire, around page 39 or 40. So we see, her Hindu chronology. Late in the day of time, Shamballa sent a call, relaying from voice to voice. The different throat centers pick it up, and rolling forward on the Om. His word is the thunder, sounding forth through the ages. It's the second ray process. The disciple, finally we're getting it, right down here, we're getting it. The disciple, hearing that sound, lifted his head, meaning, of course, becoming attentive to the higher energies. That's what it means to lift your head. Lifted his head. And notice here, an impulse from the base of the spine center, mounted in time and space. And this is interesting because, let's just say it's from Pluto to Uranus. With Uranus has a first ray aspect to it, even though it's in the second ray column. From Pluto, which rules the base of the spine at the fifth initiation, and Uranus, which rules this big head center, and who knows what rules here. Let's just say what rules here is probably the whole zodiac, or to the zodiac in man. Leo, within the heart and head. Notice, both places. He's the crown in a way, and he's the heart center, shouted aloud. It sounds like the rampant lion, doesn't it? You've seen that picture of the rampant lion roaring, shouted aloud, and stood. I wish I had that picture. It's a marvelous picture. I do have it, but I maybe don't have time to go searching for it. But you've seen it. The lion is standing up and, rampant and shouting forth, roaring forth, while Saturn did his work. Oh, poor Saturn, always working and thus the twain were one. And what happens here is that basically man becomes unified with Shambhala, and through the base of the spine center and the highest head center, the Shambhalic connection is made, and you have the royal road into Shambhala. And it works through Leo in your heart center, and it works through the great bear represented by Vulcan inside your head. But those are all reflections of what's going on a much higher place. Like Vulcan is 7 head centers inside your head, and it corresponds to the great bear, which are 7 head centers inside the head of the one about whom naught may be said. So whatever is happening right down here is happening in reflection for us. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm keep my commentary away from this now. I'm just going to read it and see what you think. The sevenfold light of the Father brought from chaos into ordered day his purpose and his plan. The 7 supreme gods bent to this purpose, and with united will ordained the plan. The bear and the lion met together and laid their plans in conformity with the plan and with the purpose of their controlling Lord. They called on Father Time for aid and strength, and he responded to their triple call. To this call, likewise, the eternal youth responded. He set himself anew to learn the plan, aided by Father Time, yet unaffected by the Lord of Time, for he himself was timeless, though not the lives which he enfolded in his thought and plan. Then the triple light which came from the bear in his high place, from Leo in his lesser place, and from Saturn in his little place, poured into the planetary place of power. Shambhala was informed. The Lord of life and of the world took action. Those dots mean there's probably going to be a bit more that's not included here. DK is oftentimes leaving things out when they cannot be shown. The little one within the greater whole likewise responded to the triple light, but not until the cycles passed and passed again. Late in the day of time, Shambhala sent a call, relayed from voice to voice and rolling forward on the Om. The disciple, hearing that sound, lifted his head. An impulse from the base mounted in time and space. Leo within the heart and head shouted aloud and stood, while Saturn did his work, and thus the twain were one. Well, the highest and the lowest are indeed meeting here. It's a first ray. It's a first ray process we're talking about, but remember that the 7th ray is the concrete expression of the first ray process, and the highest and the lowest do meet. Well, okay, look, here's what this is all about. There is a triangle called the Spiritual Triad, and basically this Spiritual Triad is where the masters focus their consciousness. And we are trying to learn something about the Spiritual Triad so that as we progress in the initiatory regime, we too will be able to focus in this impersonal world of the Spiritual Triad. Now, this is very abstract material. So what do you do with it? And let's just say that our first step in focusing in the Spiritual Triad is to be able to focus within the manasic permanent atom and with the vehicle, which will eventually take the place, a mental vehicle, it will take the place of the egoic lotus when the solar angel returns to the heart of the sun, or whatever part of the sun it returns to. Then we'll have our own manasic vehicle, the solar angel having helped us bridge so we could build that. So basically, and this is the point, we're cultivating the abstract mind. We're cultivating the abstract mind. Why is this important? Because in the evolutionary scheme of the moment, we're in the fifth root race, but we're entering the sixth subrace of the fifth root race. What does DK say about it? That, okay, it's not intuition full yet. First comes the cultivation of the abstract mind, and then in the true sixth root race comes the real cultivation of the intuition. So we are in line doing what man is supposed to do in this subrace of the fifth root race, cultivate the abstract mind. And you know, when you start thinking in these terms, the abstract mind, which gives us the blueprints of the divine plan to a certain extent, really begins to grow, and you feel more at home in that world, which is necessary if we're ever going to focus in that impersonal, planetary manner that is possible when there is the focus of consciousness in the spiritual triad. So there's a method to all this madness. It may seem like, wow, that's a long way away, and that's far away, and it's not about my daily life of discipleship. But all of these higher triangles, and I'm talking about the spiritual triad now, are definitely reflected in the lower process. And as we reach into the higher triangles, things begin to gel and cohere and work better in our more concrete life. All right, I've obviously spoken enough about this, and every week or every other week, we'll get into the next one. Now, we're going slowly. Okay, we're going slowly, but that's how it is when you really ponder on things. You cannot rush through, and after all, we have 7 years, don't we? So, what I'm going to say here is that this is the end of number 20. We didn't really move many pages. I think page 430, is that it? 430 to 431. Not a whole lot of progress in terms of pages, but I'm not worried about that as long as we cultivate our abstract mind. All right, so this is the 28th of September, and it's the end of number 20, and we're going to start with number 21, and we're going to start at 431 next time we get together. And if I look at my calendar, it looks like the 12th of October. That's Columbus Day. Okay, we're discovering a new continent here, and we'll deal with Sirius and the little bear in the exploration of this greatest of all triangles, which concerns our particular planet and solar system. So this should be my dyslexic. There we go. Okay. So that's the way it'll be. And on the 12th of October, I believe that's correct. Let me just check it one more time. Yes, it is correct. All right, friends. So I know that's been quite a load, but let's see if you have anything you want to say about the picture presented, or, you know, about occultism in general, because what we're doing here in this kind of work is trying to relate everything to everything else. And this is Mercurian work in the intuitive, pure reason line. So first is rational, cognitive, logical, and then something starts to really gel, and you see the divine pattern. Remember that the second ray under which we are primarily working here is the ray of the divine pattern. All right. So now, if and now more of us have come aboard, and welcome to you. Glad you're here. And are there any questions or statements about the paragraph we've read about the descent of first ray energy through Great Bear, Leo, Saturn, Sanat, head, base of spine? That's the descent of that energy, and right back up to the head center of man. Any thoughts about that, or in general about occultism, or about the abstract mind, or about the higher triangles reflected in the lower, whatever you want to ask about or think about or suggest? Floor is open.
Michael?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes, please do, Tuya. Go ahead.
While we were reading about this interesting part of the sound, the triple sound, it just came again to my mind that we have to really study all it, because it's so fantastic what he is describing about these different sounds. And when we think about that, we always have to then think about also the tone. It's something like that, what he describes in that word of power of AUM, and how it is creating these two different worlds. And when we talk about these triplicities, we talk about the manifestation in the cosmos or in the universe, and how they are affecting, and how the disciple is supposed to be a part of that creation. So for the fourth kingdom, these two sounds are like the affecting powers, U and A, and we should not respond to M. The M is for the three lower worlds, and we try to get out from the M. But when these sounds, when these initial sounds are they are sounded by the tone of the next lower. And that is very interesting. When we think about the world of the fourth kingdom, the U is sounded in the tone of M. And then when we think about the world of U, it is sounded, the A is sounded in the tone of U. And these are creating the connections between the worlds. But when the sound is sounded, it is only affecting the Devic world, and the Devic world starts the activity and builds the form where the consciousness can then land. So they are like the words, the sounds are not at all for humans in the first step or in the first place. It's always for the Devic world, and then we come along in that part that we are supposed to become those who are in the work of magic with the hierarchy and start to learn consciously. So it's very complicated and really fascinating area, but gives a lot when one starts to contemplate about this. You were earlier saying about the Om, that the first ray word, or how did you say? Is that the first? The second ray adaptation of the first ray word. Yes, yes.
Second ray adaptation of the first ray word. Okay, yeah.
And it is important because for us to use, because it is about the you, the world of you, where we really should become to go deeper into it and understand what is Vishnu, what is the part of the aspect of God that we should really begin to be the cooperators.
I think it's going to be actually one of the first areas to be studied in the healing arts. the sound and color, will become very practical. There are 7 very arcane stanzas in the esoteric healing, and I wonder if I can find this thing for you. Let's see, angel and pool. Maybe that'll help us. And angel responds, and let's see if another one. Yeah, here it is. Now, these 7 stanzas in esoteric healing are remarkable. And he doesn't say much. But by the way, here's where you can understand that the monad is 12-fold. It's just a tiny little hint buried somewhere in the second ray technique. But the very first thing to emerge is going to be this particular approach. The healer knows the place where dissonance is found. Let's see, I trust that I'm on, right? Yeah. Where dissonance is found. He also knows the power of sound and the sound which must be heard. Knowing the note to which the 4th great group reacts, that's us, the 4th group of monads, and linking it to the great creative 9, that, in other words, one is the human family, and the great creative 9 is the 9th creative hierarchy, which is the human hierarchy. He sounds the note which brings release, the note which brings absorption into one. He educates the listening ear of him who must be healed. He likewise trains the listening ear of him who must go forth, i.e., leave the body. He knows the manner of the sound which brings the healing touch, and also that which says, depart. And thus the work is done. So let's just say this is going to be one of the first developed in terms of sound, and color will be with it in the new age. And so although this looks very obscure, what we've been dealing with here, let's see if I can get back to where it was. Okay, and the love song, that's how I always remember where to go in esoteric, in a treatise on white magic, no, sorry, a treatise on cosmic fire. He gives this fantastic descent of sound. It's like Tuya says, it's largely concerning at first the Davic life, but just read this, go to page 926 or whatever it is, and he gives a whole different angle on sound, from the A to the AU, which basically, is also equal to the O or the OM. And then finally, even though AUM is considered to be the word from which Amen was taken, and a word which we must transcend, from another atmic point of view, it is responsible for the whole manifestation of Brahma on the 5 lower planes. So it just depends on whether we take these things from the perspective of man, or whether we look at them in a higher sense. In other words, AUM is not a word, when we consider it accurately, which we have to run away from or discontinue. It's a great word of Brahmic manifestation. Anyway, this particular section, sometime we'll have to go over it. It's really fantastic, and it ends up in a book called the Logoic Book of Life in 49 chapters. It's very beautiful, very complex, going from the simple to the complex.
Michael,
Yes, Judy, go ahead.
This is only an experimental thought. When we are looking these descending triangles, and we look the aspects of them, and why, and for us humans, for disciples, when we think about these worlds of the sounds, so you for us is the most important always to study. I was just thinking when looking these triangles, and when we try to make sense out of them, that maybe one doorway in could be to look these triangles as the aspects, and always find the second aspect of them, of the triangles, because that is in the realm of you in those triangles. And then trying to understand what this triangle in practical sense is doing in our lives, and what is the, trying to understand the hint in them, what is that, what is because otherwise it's so abstract that it is very hard for us to bring down and understand
But
what do they mean. But
will
that
get
could
it.
be one doorway.
We'll put together all of these different systems and we will find the equivalence. What's interesting about the word you is it's a letter of relationship. You know, if I say, you have to turn off your mic just there for a second. If I say you, I immediately create another and the necessity for relationship with it. And in another sense of the word, the you is the descent of the monad around the turn and the rising again back up to the place where it started with and eventually if you put the arc over the U, you get the O from which it all descended. So look, there are many ways to study this thing. The only thing that I wanted to say is that it's going to be one of the first to emerge in the healing arts. And he also said that great art is coming in the new Renaissance after 2025, when the fourth ray really comes in from its monadic angle, and that the very first type of art which will be developed is the art of the word, not music, not painting or the visual arts, but the art of the word, having to do with the third aspect in a way, and the second, well, you know, sound, you can relate it 1, 2, 3, whatever. But that's the first type of art that's going to be developed, is how to use words in a new way and sounds in a new way. So there's a whole wonderful area here of development. And like Tuya says, it is complex, but we will get it. You know, we'll work out the system whereby sound can be used in a very practical manner in all aspects of our life. Okay, now let's see. Now here we have Leslie, and okay, here we go, Leslie. The day will dawn when the sound of the perfected universe will resound to the utmost bounds of the farthest constellations. Yeah, that's wonderful. Let's see. Maybe I can make this. The day will dawn when the sound. No, I can't do that. Where does that come from, Leslie? You can just write it in. What page and what book? Because this is like the morning stars singing together in the stanzas of Jian, and there's a huge consummation that goes on, and perfected universe. Wow. Now, we haven't even perfected our planet. We haven't perfected our solar system, which is sometimes called the universe. But just imagine the whole universe. It's beautiful. Okay, well, thank you. Just recall it from AAB. Well, then the day will dawn when? So I'm going to do a little funny little search and see if I can find it. But you can't always find these things, because one word or another can make life difficult. The day will dawn when, let's see. The day will dawn when, if we dare pray. There it is. Okay, beautiful. Now we're on page Initiation, Human and Solar, of all things, huh? Look at this here. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay, for people involved in music, I'll tell you, when they form all of these 12 creative hierarchies, they form but one chord in the cosmic symphony. When the sevenfold cosmic chord, of which we form so humble a part, reverberates in synthetic perfection, wow, what words, then and only then will come comprehension of the words in the book of Job, the morning stars sang together. Dissonance yet sounds forth, and discord arises from many systems, but in the progression of the eon, an ordered harmony will eventuate, and the day will dawn when, if we dare speak of eternities in terms of time, the sound of the perfected universe will resound to the utmost bounds of the furthest constellation. Then will be known the mystery of the marriage song in the heavens. So, we're dealing with such beautiful ideas of consummation, and here it is also. No, that's the one reference, Initiation, Human and Solar, page 4. So make a note of that. It's matter of fact, let's just see what I can do to make life interesting here. I'm going to put this in the chat box so you all get it. And there it is. And there it is. So now you have it. Page 4, Initiation, Human and Solar. Okay, good. Now let's see what else. If there is anything else, anything that you want to, and to you might want to get that little triangles reflection ready. Here's Catherine. And Catherine, people interested in music. Okay. Interesting that you mentioned Aries, Ray 1, Leo, Ray 2, Sagittarius, Ray 3 for fire signs. Presumably the same can be done for the other elemental signs? Yes. Yes. Well, yes. Let's just say that let's look at air signs for a moment, and maybe you are doing that right down here. It's going to be Aquarius Ray 1, Libra Ray 2, or Gemini Ray 3, or some way to switch them around. They're both involved. If you study the second cosmic path, now I'm always forgetting the name of it. So at first he talks about Gemini, but then he says Libra is involved. And then you study the path Sirius, and he gives you one sign, and then he gives you the other sign years later. Gemini and Libra are involved in both. Now, a lot of third ray goes through Libra, and a lot of second ray through Gemini, so it might be that way, but I'm really convinced that it is first ray Aquarius, and after that I start, going back and forth with it. If we go in order, it's second ray Gemini and third ray Libra, but there's ways to twist that around. Now, when you look at Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, we have the same issue. Capricorn, in my view, is the first ray sign. Virgo, the second ray sign, possibly, or the third ray, and Taurus is the second sign, but it's very material. So I'm pretty sure that Capricorn really has that powerful first ray and starts the whole thing. But I think the principle of what you're saying is correct, and we can look at the different signs accordingly. But it's not going to be just cut and dried, because there are different things which suggest that we can alternate the position of the different signs. Now, he definitely says Aries first, Leo second, Sagittarius third. That one he gives us for sure. So thanks for drawing that to our attention. And always look for the first three aspects of divinity wherever you're working with triangles. When DK was building triangles in his group, it would be 4 triangles, 9 people. And somewhere I have the diagram, and I've shown it to you, I think. But the triangle in the center was the first, second, and third ray, and the different people who held the central triangle, each one represented either the first ray, the second ray, or the third ray, and built a triangle around that representation. So what's important is triangular perception. We've got to look at our whole life, the people we deal with, every human being, monad, soul, personality, every part of every human being, if you really look at it. See if I can find this here. There's triangles everywhere, and we can perceive the human being in terms of balancing the triangles. And the triangle is the great principle of balance. Now, think of it. The sign Libra shows up as a triangle in the sky, and it used to be the claws of the scorpion, but it was separated out in some period. And there you have Atma, equilibrium, Libra, triangle, or Atma, Libra, equilibrium, triangle. So we have to equilibrize our life. And the way to do that is to balance the aspects of divinity within us. Look, when you have a personality, one or other of the vehicles may be causing you trouble. So if we can't bring that particular vehicle into balance with the others, we have not really achieved the balanced triangular relationship. So let us try to perceive in that manner as to how to equilibrize the triangles with which we are always faced. Okay, thank you, Catherine, because it's a good idea, and like I say, unfortunately, I see things a little bit in a manner of complexity. So where I would like to just say ABC, I remember the different things that he said about these different signs, and so sometimes there's a question. The starting point is not too hard. It's Aries for fire, it's Aquarius for air, and for Earth, I think it's Capricorn. Okay, the will that conquers death, and there's a huge light potential in Taurus, but light fights it out for the second position or the third position. For water, well, Cancer is obviously, to me, the third aspect. I would say Scorpio is probably the first aspect, and Pisces, the great second ray sign or constellation, is probably the second aspect. However, Pisces has a lot of first ray, so from a different perspective. But anyway, I would start, with Scorpio in relation to Hercules in the sky and the first ray. Pisces, the great savior. Cancer, the vessel, the form that is built of matter, third ray. But, I'm not saying that's written in stone, okay? It's just something that one thinks about. Okay, let's see who else. Michael, is there anybody else? Don't see. Okay, Tuya, do you want to say anything in closing before the meditation? Wait, but now you got to turn on your microphone. Hold on. It's a green circle with a mic in it. Can you find it? You had it before. Get your dashboard up there. We're on other sides. There you go.
Catherine asked about Scorpio. And then she said that she was suggesting his first ray, which was clarified. You lost your audio.
Thanks, Mike. These are speculations and proposals. Okay. And look, if a human being can have all seven rays, If a planet can have all 7 rays, if a solar system all 7 rays, you can bet that every lord of a constellation has all 7 rays. It's just the question of which ones are emphasized within any particular context. So, where you begin, you have to justify it. And I think you can justify. I've always felt about Scorpio that although it's the major 4th ray constellation, in our system at least, it's got this huge 1st ray background. And Hercules was a 1st ray soul and maybe a 1st ray monad. I don't know. Anyway, he had apparently a 2nd ray personality and maybe a 4th ray mind. But he was a great teacher, but he's identified with the 1st ray above all. So, and Scorpio is his archetypal sign. So I think we're justified in thinking about Scorpio as archetypally 1st ray as well as 4th ray. Okay, thank you. Look, friends, I just want to say one more thing as well. We're talking about triangles, and we're talking about the whole universe when we do that. And all manner of things about occultism are going to enter our consideration. So when you come to a class like this, or a group like this, the main subject will be offered in the text and will form the background of what we do. But from another perspective, anything goes, If it's in the world of occultism, you can bring it up, because you never can tell what relates to what and what we might learn as we're trying to develop the pure reason which allows us intuitively to see the wholeness in all its many parts. I hope that's clear. Okay, Tuya, do you want to do that? Do you want to do that little reflection on triangles?
I can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Are you using any visuals? Because if you are, I can switch to you, or we can just
No.
no.
My mobile.
Okay, so we'll just leave it like this. Okay, you can begin. We're going to have a little reflection, try to do a little practical stuff in this quite abstract area.
Okay, we can sound inaudibly Om 3 times. Or other. Do I need to say in Finnish? Okay. Yeah. Ja lausumme Om äänettömästi 3 kertaa. Then we have a little alignment what TK is asking us to do every morning. Sen jälkeen pieni virittäytyminen, jonka mestari DK pyytää tekemään joka aamu. This is creating a triangle of light between your head center, your soul, and with Master DK. Valonkolmio sielusi pääkeskuksen ja mestari DK:n kanssa. Hold that steadily in your consciousness. Ylläpidä tietoisuudessasi. See it now as a solid triangle of light. Ja näen nyt se täysinäisenä valonkulmiona. The base of the triangle on the mental plane. Kulmion kanta mentaalitasolla. And the lower apex touching your top of the head. Kulmion kärki koskittain päälakeasi. Then via the triangle, golden colored light like light orange pouring out kolmion kärjen kautta vaalean oranssi kullan hohtoisena. Flooding your whole body. Täyttäen jo koko kehosi. Bathe in it. Kylpä siinä. As you would bathe in the waters of the sea. Kuten kylpisit meren vesissä. See that light permeating every part of your physical equipment. Näe, että se läpäisee koko fyysisen käyttövälineesi, jokaisen osan. This is helping to handle your life problem and your service. Ja tämä auttaa sinua käsittelemään elämäsi ongelmaa ja palvelemistasi. Thus you can leave everything in the hands of the Master TK. Voit jättää kaiken mestari DK:n käsiin. Contact now the spiritual triplicity. Nyt ota kontakti henkiseen kolminaisuuteen, which is that which hovers over the square and radiates the energy of light into the waiting field of active thought. We realize the promise that energy follows thought. Me ymmärrämme perustelun, että energia seuraa ajatusta. And thus we focus on our own triangle or triangles. Nyt keskittäydymme omaan tai omiin kolmioihimme by calling upon triangle group members by name and with love. Kutsuen nyt rakkaudella kolmioryhmän jäseniämme. And we have for that 3 minutes of silence. Ja 3 minuutin hiljaisuus. And let us recognize how this work is immediately changing the ethers. We also recognize how our triangle work will every time make etherically more living. Huomioimme, kuinka kaikki muuttuu eteerisesti elävämmäksi. Let us link our triangle work with the global network of golden triangles. Liittäydymme nyt kultaisten kolmioiden globaaliseen verkostoon. We are aware how the network of triangles is under the eye of the great Shambalic triangle, the three Buddhas of activity in Shamballa. Huomioimme, kuinka kultaisten kolmioiden verkosto on suuren shamballisen kolmion, kolmen aktiivisuuden Buddhan silmien alla Shamballassa. And we know that this triangle work can be energized by the three Buddhas of activity in the time and times of emergency in humanity. Tiedämme, että kolmiota voidaan käyttää aktiivisuuden buddhien kautta hätätilanteissa. We have very living realization of our triangle work with the network of global triangles and with the three Buddhas of activity in Shamballa. Tunnistamme kolmion, oman kolmioittemme, globaalisen kolmioiden verkoston ja kolmen aktiivisuuden Buddhan kanssa. And we try to have this living sense of that inner reality. Pyrimme tunnistamaan sisäisen todellisuuden. And because the triangle work is a part of the coming science of invocation. And that is something we were talking about the sound. In this session, we try to really get understanding what these sounds means. What is the sound? Koska kolmiotyöskentely kuuluu uuteen tulevaisuuden tieteen kutsun tieteisiin. So the triangle work belongs to that science of invocation. So now we will sound the great invocation via our triangles. Ja nyt pyrimme lausumaan omien kolmioittemme kautta. And we sound the great invocation. Let us try to really understand that this is invocation. We invoke the higher spiritual potencies to respond. Me pyrimme tällä kutsulla saamaan vaikutuksen sisäisillä tasoilla, mitä he vastaisivat. This is what Master GK is telling about why the great invocation is the real tool for all disciples and should be used every day. Let us really align together that we sense our readiness, that we are just sending one sound through us, one invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the mind's soul. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wheels of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And let us really see at least 100,000 living triangles functioning within the square-like etheric body of Earth, transmuting, transforming. Ja pyrimme näkemään ainakin 100 000 elävää kolmiota. And really see the Earth as a sacred planet and humanity redeemed. Ja näemme maan pyhänä planeettana ja ihmiskunnan vapautettuna. Let us sound the sacred word Om 3 times. And now I'm doing inaudibly because my voice is not with me at the moment. Ja lausumme pyhän sanan Om 3, teen itse sen äänettömästi. And let us hold this circulation of love and light throughout our triangles. Ja ylläpitäkäämme rakkauden ja valon virtausta kolmioittemme kautta. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Tuya. Okay, friends, well, now we have reached the end of this today's study and meditation. We would like to thank you all for being here and telling you again that tonight, well, 5 p.m. GMT, we have our dissipation of glamour meditation. And for those of you who have been watching in the United States the proceedings operating in the Senate, you will understand how necessary this work is. I wanted to say that the Christ said, I come to bring not peace, but the sword. And you could see it. The sword of discrimination between the personality and soul of humanity. Now, it's a tough fight, and the soul must prevail, and we have to help. And when we work with the triangles and many other things, we do help. On Saturday evening, 5 p.m. GMT, we continue with our Soul of Nations work, and on Sunday with the attracting of money for hierarchical purposes. And then next week, we're on the morning schedule. This is the evening schedule so far. So thank you all very much for being here. And thank you, Michael, for backing us up and helping on the technical side. And thank you, Tuya, for your contribution and the meditation, and all who spoke or thought about speaking or had some thoughts. Many blessings to everybody. And maybe we'll see some of you or all of you this evening for the work of the dissipating of glamour. So lots of love, many blessings, and we'll talk to you later from the Little Bear Meditation Center up here north of the Arctic Circle. Bye-bye.